which is item 16 and on page 101 of your report. And Jimmy moves and Pauline seconds.
Yeah. Can I just take a moment to update you on progress with water? To date there are 10 pump stations which have been signed off by the Drinking Water Assessor for approval to supply unchlorinated water. So that means about 25% of the city's water is unchlorinated. You visited last month the Gardeners Road pump station to see the kind of standard we're attaining with best practice approach to water infrastructure. So at that stage there are 2 above ground wellheads, each of a capacity of 50 litres per second. So you can start to see what we're trying to do around that. In terms of wellhead improvement update, we've got contractors on site at Burnside Pump. And they're getting ready to convert the below ground to the above ground, as with the Gardeners Road pump station. And that conversion will take about 55 days. And it supplies about a fifth of the homes in Christchurch Northwest zone, about 1.8 million cubic metres of water annually, so an important pump to be looking at. Work to upgrade the wellhead in Kayanga water is on track to be finished in late October. Also looking at alternative disinfection, so main pumps UV functional designs underway, so there's work being done by Becca, will be followed by tender in early November, and we're also investigating additional sites where UV treatment might be suitable. We expect to provide a report to Council about the timeframes for Stage 2 works in October, so that's coming up, be aware of that. In terms of ongoing inquiries and complaints, which cover not just complaints about smell and taste, there's a range of issues, so general information, people wanting updates on where things are at, as well as issues of concern. So we had about 120 of those in August. You'll recall that the peak in May was around 366. There may well be more people phoning in or contacting us around issues as we start to take on or activate pumps that have been closed over the winter period in terms of that. The other thing is that there's been obviously quite a lot of work around the water conservation campaign. We're progressing plans for that, but we'll have the results from the community survey fairly soon. And that will give you an insight into the willingness of people to reduce water to help us to continue to head towards an unchlorinated water supply.
Thanks, Colleen. Are there any questions? Aaron.
Just around the messaging for the water conservation, I'm not sure if it's been clear enough, because there seems to be a lot of confusion, and they always go straight to the some foreign company can take 10 million litres of water from under the city, but the council's telling us to save water. So my question would be, have you got more plans to roll out other ways of informing people that that's not actually the case, they're completely unrelated, and the reason we're conserving for the water that's in pipes, not what's under the ground, and so on and so forth? So
that will certainly be part of the plan in terms of how we inform people and keep them up to date with things. And the survey, of course, is about people's willingness to participate in that, which will also inform the plans that we have. So we make sure that people do understand what it's about, as opposed to, just being stopping them drinking water.
Cool. Pauline.
Yeah, so just on that, because we use 50% more water in the summer than we do in the winter, and in order to continue the repair work, we need to switch off some pump stations, which means that if we are using more water, we won't be able to switch those off, so we won't be able to do the repairs. So is this going to be, at the moment, a voluntary conservation program, or is that going to be what is going to be determined by the survey, if there's a willingness for people to do that voluntarily? And if not, where do we get to with that? Do we consult on whether to suspend the program or bring in water restrictions, which we have had in the past?
Yep, I think once we've got the results, that's a conversation we need to have about what that actually means, and then what approach you take towards water conservation.
Well, because the thing is that we have this council has determined to do our very, very best to get that chlorine out as soon as possible and within the 12 months. And if we have to reduce the water consumption over the summer, it may be that we need to bring in restrictions.
So I guess it's a conversation we need to have, but it needs to be an ongoing campaign so that it doesn't, I think one of the other risks is that, you know, people will support it initially and then it drops off. So we need some mechanisms to make sure that it's an ongoing campaign that gets us to the point where we can take the chlorine out of the water.
Okay. If that...
I mean, the community's used to water restrictions, which pop up every 2 or 3 years. So, in a sense, it won't be any different, will it? I mean, if we have to.
Yeah, well, the community will have a view on that.
We're just going to have to go easy on the place here.
Okay. Phil?
Kelly, mine isn't a question. Questions really, just a couple of comments. Just that. Great progress in terms of the number now in the second tranche of wells to remove the chlorine, with another 49 coming on tap, if you excuse the expression or pun. But the other part too is the recent decision by council to develop the ultraviolet treatments as well. The other thing I wanted to mention was under the section awards and achievements, I'm glad you've written up about the unicycle, and I'm also glad that it's reached Parliament by way of notice of motion. And that's an example, though, of where we should celebrate and acknowledge our achievements. So I'm glad your report does that, Carleen, because clearly a huge amount of work is being done by our council.
That's right. And there are some areas, particularly in the sustainability, where we can continue to end in the finalists around some awards. So,
great. If there's nothing more, I'll put the motion. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carried. Thank you.